It's the 101st race in the history of the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards at Salem Speedway. For 2017, it's the third event of the year and the second on the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. Hello everybody, I am Bob Dillner and welcome to the high banks of this legendary facility. And when we're talking about high banks, we're not joking. More than 20 degrees of banking here in the corners, and that will test even the toughest of competitors. And today's starting lineup led by a bunch of teenagers. In fact, for the first time in more than 20 years, not a single Salem winner in the field. Among those teenagers, former ARCA winners Dalton Sargent and Kyle Weatherman. And then you have Snowball Derby champion Christian Eckes, Cars Tour Super Late Model champion from 1 year ago Raphael Lessard, and past Super Late Model winner Zane Smith. Just among the few that will challenge for the big victory here today.
Welcome to Salem, Indiana, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, Kentuckiana, Ford Dealers 200 presented by Hers. Ken Stout and Rob Klepper here to call the action for you. This is one of those historic stops on the tour that we love coming to. In fact, for more than 60 years, the ARCA Racing Series has been competing here at Salem Speedway.
Just a lot of history here, and if you look at some of the ARCA winners, it's a who's who in motorsports. NASCAR Cup champs Bobby Allison and Benny Parsons. Troy Ruttman, who won the 52 Indianapolis 500, has won an ARCA event here at Salem. 10-time ARCA champ Frank Kimmel has won here 9 times. You put your name in the history books if you can win here today.
Team owner Billy Venturini won this race in 2006. And how about Kenny Schrader, the oldest person to win a short track race with the ARCA Racing Series, won it here in April 2015. Let's talk about this racetrack and where it's located. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Indianapolis, planted in 1814, primarily an agricultural and farmland community here for the location in Salem, Indiana for this historic track.
A lot of history here for sure. It opened up back in 1947. It is a half-mile paved asphalt track, 33-degree banking in the corners. Turns 1 and 2 are very different than 3 and 4. The lines are different around this racetrack. It is rough. It's exciting. They have a quarter-mile and figure-8 racetrack right there in the middle, as you can see. And if this racetrack is not on your bucket list, you need to add it.
We should also tell you this is round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. As they finished in Nashville, this is how the points are, with Chad Finley leading that one over Kyle Weatherman and Christian Eckes. So this is an important race when it comes to that, because that's a 10-race championship inside of the season here. This is a big one for sure. Let's talk about this race. 111 miles in distance, 200 laps is what it will take them to get there.
You have to go back to 1955, the first time the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards raced here at Salem. The race, of course, won by Jack Harrison. In fact, he won the first 3 races in ARCA competition here at Salem.
In 2014, Tom Hessert set the race record here at Salem. But with these new composite cars, it wouldn't surprise me to see that one fall here today. Unfortunately, the qualifying session was rained out 1 day ago. We had a lot of weather here. In fact, this track is going to be very green at the start of this race. But because of that, the General Tire Pole Award was canceled, and they will start based on their practice times. And Travis Miller's at the top of the sheet. He's making his second career ARCA Racing Series start. It's his first ARCA start here at Salem.
Yeah, he actually ran a Pro Cup race here before he won the pole, led about 40 laps, finished 5th in that race, so he does have some experience at this historic half mile. Second at Lucas Oil Raceway last year, Bob, and he's got a good spot today.
In only his second start in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, Travis Miller on the front row, on the point, will lead the field to the green flag. The big question now is, can you keep it there?
Yeah, I definitely think we can. I think we just need to use our heads, and we've got a good pitch strategy. It just depends on whether the weather's going to turn bad or turn good. All in all, I think I just need to keep my head on straight and save the tires, and I think keep it up front. If just not overdrive the car and just kind of let the drive the track, and I think we'll be there at the end.
As Bob Dillner was talking about, this field is loaded with young guns. In fact, the youngest driver here, Raphael Lessard, just 15 years old, making his debut here was to start at Nashville. Unfortunately, had a big moment in qualifying there and was not able to make the race, but out here with us today. But how about Dalton Sargent? Made his debut here a year ago and ended up as our Scott Rookie of the Year in 2016.
Yeah, that Cunningham Motorsports number 77 with Dalton Sargent certainly going to be one to watch. But how about the Venturini cars? You see the 15 of Christian Eckes, the 55 of Zane Smith. Eckes debuted in the series last year at Nashville and had a great run at Nashville just a few weeks ago. And you can see right there winning the Snowball Derby in 2016, one of the biggest races in super late model racing.
Yeah, and Zane Smith nearly won the Snowball Derby in 2015. Such a young talent for sure. And that Venturini team looking for the third consecutive win here at this racetrack after Christopher Bell swept 1 year ago. All right, we spoke about Nashville. Let's get you up to speed on what happened there just a couple of weeks ago as Kyle Weatherman led him to the stripe.
Yeah, Weatherman certainly the best car all night long. We saw racing up front. We saw racing at the tail. It was just a great night of racing, but it was all about Chad Finley taking 4 fresh General tires late in the race, getting by Weatherman to pick up his first career ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards win.
It was an exciting finish to say the least. As you can see, they were racing 3 wide deep in the pack, but Chad Finley hung on and made it pay. Here's a look at the points for the ARCA Racing Series. After the first 2 events completed, Austin Terrio, who won at Daytona, is leading the group. Kyle Weatherman finished second at Nashville. Then it's Dalton Sargent, Shane Lee, and Brett Holmes who round out your top 5. Austin Terrio has been busy here. This is his Salem debut, and in practice, well, things got a little sketchy. He's down there with Bob Dillner.
The infamous Salem stripe. That's what you'll get when you get a little bit too close to the wall up in turns 3 and 4. Austin Terrio, the big win to kick off the season at Daytona. Austin, you are the point leader coming into this one. How aggressive are you going to be today at Salem?
Well, as aggressive as possible and not get in that turn 3 and 4 wall. We found that out in practice. I think I'm going to go off and see what these guys are going to run for a pace, and then sort of save as much as we can, but you don't want to give up too much because it's so hard to pass. And you really got to work your passes, because if you put yourself in a bad position, get a run off the corner, you might not be able to finish it. So you don't want to use your tires for no reason, and that's a good reason. So we'll see what happens. I think we got a good car and just got to stay out of trouble and bring it home.
Austin Terrio racing for veteran racer Kenny Schrader.
Here's a look at the starting grid. Travis Miller will lead him to the stripe alongside young Shane Lee driving for the Cunningham team. Zane Smith and Austin Terrio fill out row number 2. Then it's Kyle Weatherman and Will Kimmel, who knows this place so well. In row 4, Dalton Sargent and Rafael Lassard.
Riley Herbst will line up inside row number 5 in the 9th spot. Solid top 10 at Nashville. Mason Mingus back in that 33, filling in for Justin Fontaine. Christian Eckes, Brett Holmes in row 6. You see Gus Dean there and A.J. Fike, the Illinois driver, starting 14th. Tony Murakovich and the Moose, Thomas Prater, making his 88th consecutive ARCA Racing Series start.
We go back to row 9 and find Eric Cadell and Brad Smith. In row 10 will be Mike Basham, son of Daryl Basham, the team owner. Con Nicolopoulos in row 10, and then Mark Munir and Steve Fox round out the field. 22 cars strong here at Salem Speedway. There's a good overhead shot. You can see all the water down there on the infield. Boy, we had a bunch of rain here over the weekend, but that's pretty typical for Indiana this time of year. Okay, let's go down to the front straightaway for the most famous words in racing, courtesy of the Eastern Lady Musketeers basketball team.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, here to give the command for this afternoon's 101st Kentuckiana, the Ford Dealers 200, the Class 2A state basketball champions, the Eastern Lady Musketeers.
Drivers, start your engines!
Thank you very much, ladies, and nicely done. The 700 horsepower cars roar to life. We'll kick off round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge when we come back to Salem.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Television broadcast is brought to you by Scott Family of Products. Great value, great performance. Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world.
And we welcome you back to Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana for round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. Everybody getting a little bit of heat inside of those tires. It's going to be critical here at the start of this race for sure.
So here's another look at what we're going to see here today. Of course, it is the 101st ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards race here at the historic Salem Speedway. It'll be 200 laps in distance, 111 miles. And as we've been talking about, we'll continue to talk about round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, a championship within a championship. And of course, you talked about Chad Finley winning at Nashville, leads those points. He's not here at Salem this weekend, so they're certainly going to get shuffled around.
And Bob Dillner, with this track being green from all the rain, it's going to want to eat those tires up here early on in this race.
Big question is pit strategy for today's race. Each of the teams have 6 tires in the pit area. That's for 2 pit stops. But with some weather in the surrounding areas, the big question is when they are going to take 2 and when they are going to take 4. So strategy will have a big factor in who wins today's race.
And Bob, with qualifying being washed out, teams were allowed to purchase, even start the event on sticker tires. Some could use their worn out tires they ran in practice, so it's going to be interesting to see who does what here off the start.
Travis Miller hits the speed zone, the acceleration zone, picks up the green flag, and we are racing here at Salem right alongside. In the Cunningham entry is Shane Lee. We go back to Gus Dean in 15th place, and look at these guys already 3 wide. Gus Dean with a lot of momentum up and around the outside. That's why we love Salem. Look at the speed here.
And right down into turn number 3, the preferred line is up on top. Now, it may take these guys a few laps to get up there because, as you mentioned, the rain came and washed all the rubber off this racetrack. Down in 1 and 2, it's bumpy, it's weathered. Guys will run bottom to middle, bounce around. When they get down to 3, the preferred line is up on the top.
There's a look at Dalton Sargent. We talked about him before, doing a great job in the points so far. On board with A.J. Fike. His crew chief, Dan Glaus, has been with him for a long time. So talented, anticipating this race to have a lot of green flag laps. Very little caution, so they set the car up that way. Good look at the 23 car, and Brett Holmes tags the wall right there.
Yeah, Brett Holmes finished 3rd in the fall race here in 2016. Brought the same car that he ran at Nashville with. Here he is very fast in the test, as a lot of teams did test here at Salem.
Again, a good look there at the 77 car of Dalton Sargent, who had a great run at Daytona as well, finishing in 4th place. As we take a look at this battle between Austin Theriault, the winner at Daytona, and young Zane Smith. Zane Smith driving for Venturini. And now back up to Shane Lee in the 22 car, driving one of the Cunningham entries, and he is right on the back bumper of that MDM entry, driven by Travis Miller.
Travis Miller out of Chesapeake, Virginia, has veteran crew chief Jamie Jones calling the shots. Very good in practice, obviously started on the front row and seems to have a pretty good hot rod here at this point. Shane Lee right behind him out of North Carolina, as you mentioned, out of that very fast Cunningham Motorsports stable.
Shane Lee taking a look down below. He's got a great race car, no doubt, if he's staying that close to him. But both of these guys are kind of checking out a little bit, and I'm curious to see how long these tires are going to last. And there's a huge difference between the new tires and then as they fall off. And with this track being green here, no rubber on it from all the rain, if they shred the front tires off of these things, it's going to hurt them. Talking to Dan Glaus, he said, if I think that we're going to go with a bunch of green flag laps, I'll change the weight bias a little bit on the car, and I'll take a little bit of weight off of that front end so it doesn't beat those front tires up. So we'll find out how things shake down here at Salem.
Yeah, the spring race last year here at Salem Speedway, this exact event, it only had a couple cautions. So, you know, this place is known to have long green flag runs, and you're going to see these guys catch lap traffic very quickly and have to deal with slower traffic this entire race. But the long green flag run, as you see Shane Lee taking a peek to the inside there off turn 2, it turns into green flag pit stops, which throws another strategy in for these crew chiefs.
Shane Lee finishing 16th in the points last year with 10 starts. Currently 4th in the points. Finished 3rd at Daytona and 12th at Nashville. And boy, he is not letting Miller get away.
Yeah, and you can see him down into turn number 1, trying low, trying middle, putting a fender to the inside to try and shake up Miller in that number 28, but Miller's doing a great job to keep his same line entering through turns 1 and 2. You can see right there. Now, he did move up a little bit right there as Lee moved down. And turns 1 and 2, that's where they want to try and set up a driver to make a pass down in turn 3. Get a nice run off 2, and then you can bonsai slide job, if you will, down in turns 3 and 4.
Both drivers with very talented crew chiefs. Paul Andrews for Shane Lee. 12 wins with Alan Kawicki, NASCAR veteran, of course, and then also with the number 28 of Travis Miller. Jamie Jones, another veteran NASCAR ARCA crew chief on that car, as we go back and take a look at Brett Holmes again in that 23 car. After just touching that wall, looks like the car is still pretty good right now. Probably had pressures coming up in those tires and just didn't have the grip that he wanted. To the outside there of Gus Dean, that is A.J. Fike as they go door handle to door handle.
Yeah, great onboard shot with Gus Dean, really trying to turn things around. 32nd at Daytona, 23rd at Nashville. Just hasn't had the best of luck so far. His first time here at Salem, 22-year-old driver. He will be chasing points all year long for Winteron Racing.
Yeah, unfortunately got caught up in that wreck at Daytona and then had a track bar issue at Nashville, but they were really fast, and then that's not where they finished, not a good indication of how good that car has been driving for Kevin Sawinski.
There's that 27 of A.J. Fike. Christian Eckes to the inside of him. Right behind him, Tony Murakovic in the 10 as we go on board with the Illinois driver. Loses a spot to Christian Eckes there in the Venturini number 15.
Yeah, and actually lost a couple of spots since we were on board with him last time. He was in 11th place, so unfortunately, A.J. Fike going the wrong direction here. And Fike, such a talented driver out of Galesburg, Illinois. Really good in the open wheel stuff. Running the USAC, midgets, and sprint cars. So talented, but chasing points here this year with the ARCA Racing Series. And again, Shane Lee really pressing hard here for the front. You've got to ask yourself, do you want to drive that car that hard this early in the race, or just be content to follow along back there? Long ways to go here. Just 18 laps complete of the 200. Christian Eckes, boy, what a story he was. It looks like he's passing again.
Oh!
Gets into the back of Gus Dean. Turns him sideways. Dean trying to hang on. They're both going to lose it.
Caution will come out for the first time here at Salem as Christian Eckes gets into the back of the 32, Gus Dean. I don't think they hit that inside wall at all.
I thought Dean might save it there. You can see the tire marks there on the side. Question is, did Dean know he was there? Of course, these guys all have spotters. Did Dean come down on him, or did Eckes get into the side of him? Bob?
16-year-old Christian Eckes brings his number 15 machine on pit road. Some right side damage to that Toyota. Christian reporting that the car is just a little bit loose right now, so they wanted to make sure that they got the fenders pulled away from the tires. It'll be a 4-tire stop for the Snowball Derby winner.
Yeah, and of course, this is a very early start. He has no choice after no doubt flat spotting them in that spin. But to take on all 4 tires here this early in the race is going to hurt him deep in the race. Tough break for the young man. He's so fast. He went from the back to the front at Nashville. He's going to have to do it again here at Salem. There's a look at your top 5. We'll be right back. And once again, we welcome you back here to Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. And earlier today, Bob Dillner had a chance to speak with the crew chief for Dalton Sargent. Chad Bryant is the 3-time and consecutive reigning Cometic Crew Chief of the Year for that young man right there, who is so talented and off to a great start here in 2017.
The number 1 crew chief in the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge here in ARCA last year was Chad Bryant with Chase Briscoe. Briscoe no longer here. Now you're at the helm for Dalton Sargent. But I want to know, from a crew chief standpoint, what does it take to win this Short Track Challenge?
You have to be focused and you have to be consistent. We all have our roots, and mine was cutting my teeth in the Southeast on the short tracks. So I feel like we have a pretty good understanding of what we need to do week in, week out to save our equipment and be there at the end. Dalton's done a really good job of that so far this year. Didn't have the finish or the result that we wanted at Nashville, but we ran a lot better than what we finished. So today I expect us to be right up in the front of the pack and make up some points on these guys.
Briscoe did not get the win 1 year ago at Salem, but Sargent hoping to put this guy in victory lane today.
And let's take a look at the points here for the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. They are as they finished pretty much at Nashville, with Chad Finley winning that, and then Kyle Weatherman, Christian Eckes, Austin Terrio, Mason Mingus, as Nashville was round 1 of that challenge.
Yeah, a total of 11 events. You will eliminate your worst finish at season's end. We will be at all of them with the exception of Lucas Oil Raceway and Toledo. You'll see them right here on MAV TV, so very excited about that. But tracks 1 mile and less, both the dirt miles are on the schedule, so it's going to be pretty fun here in 2017.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what they do here with the ARCA Racing Series. There's also the Bill France 4-Crown Challenge. There's the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge, so you can win a championship inside of a championship, if you will, without running the entire season. Looks like Austin Terrio moving up there on the inside of row 2 with the 52 car, but Travis Miller still out front with the number 28 cars. They start side by side here once again.
Yeah, it looks like Miller obviously choosing the pole there on this restart. He does have the option to choose inside or outside. He certainly thought the pole would work again for him on this restart, and it looks like it has as we go on board with A.J. Fike once again as he restarted in 11th.
Right behind Raphael Lessard, the young man of 15 years old out of Quebec, Canada, driving for Venturini Motorsports. And once again, let's get it back down to Bob Dillner.
Kyle Weatherman's crew chief, Kevin Reed, telling me that the number 78 is just a little bit loose right now, but they spent a lot of time in practice yesterday dialing in the car for turns 3 and 4. Kyle told me he'd rather give up 1 and 2 than 3 and 4, and I asked him, why is that? He said, well, turn 4 is where you come to the checkered flag, and he's hoping to win here today after 2 top 5 finishes in the last 4 races here at Salem.
Good battle out there. You can see Zane Smith in the number 55 car and the 77. Now, looking at those 2 cars, you might think they're driving with the same team, but they are not. The 55 is a Venturini car. The 77 is a Cunningham car.
Yeah, and right behind him, you see that 23 of Brett Holmes in his own race car, the Alabama driver, Veterans Oil, Holmes 2 Excavation Chevy, to go on board once again here with Christian Eckes trying to make a move off turn 2 right to the inside of Riley Herbst.
And of course, Eckes is going to be like a rocket ship out here with those 4 brand new General tires underneath him. So he's got to make it up right now because he's got to get out front and try to pad it if at all possible to get up to the point, because he only has 2 more tires inside of the pits to get him the rest of the distance here in this race. 2 of the best right there, Austin Terrio, Kyle Weatherman. Weatherman right on the back bumper.
Yeah, Kyle Weatherman, a very fast hot rod for Mason Mitchell Motorsports. That number 78, he's ran second here twice. He ran second to Kenny Schrader in 2015. He was second to Kyle Benjamin in the fall of 2013. He's led about 150 laps, so has a good hot rod. And there's Christian Eckes again as we go on board with the youngster for Venturini Motorsports. You got to like 4 fresh tires here at Salem.
Yeah, no question about it. At Nashville, he started second, finished third, but the entire story is started second, had a moment, ended up all the way in the back of the pack, and then drove back up to third. Boy, he had a great hot rod. There's no question about it. All right, let's go back here and take a look at this pass.
So you can see him driving a little bit harder, a little bit higher, and then with those 4 fresh General tires, able to turn that car down, coming off of turn number 2, right to the inside of that number 77, Dalton Sargent. So 4 fresh General tires will certainly win out here today.
Yeah, a moment there, too, dealing with the lap cars. Con Nicolopoulos down there on the bottom, so he had to be smart about that. And then he makes this pass and then sneaks back up in front of him while dealing with another lap car there. In that particular case, it was the 48 car of Brad Smith.
There's Weatherman to the left as Eckes goes top shelf coming off turn number 4. And it looks like he will get by Kyle Weatherman.
6 series start here for Christian Eckes. Most recent Snowball Derbies we talked about here a couple of times. Made his ARCA Racing Series debut at Nashville in 2016. Finished 8th. Ran 4 ARCA races last year altogether. So running another limited schedule here is Christian Eckes, and he is pounding his way to the front very, very quickly. Keep in mind, driving here for Venturini, and Billy Venturini won here in 2006. As a matter of fact, his only ARCA Series win.
Now on the back bumper of the number 52, Ken Schrader Racing Ford, driven by Austin Terrio. Terrio's first time here at Salem. So we go back up to Zane Smith running in the 5th position. Weatherman back in 6th. Smith in the 55, Weatherman in that 78.
Smith too young to run at Daytona, but was certainly right in the mix at Nashville. Started off in 3rd, finished 9th, but when he came across the stripe, man, all those guys were 3-4 wide, beating and banging on the doors, and some of them sliding around sideways, so the finish there at Nashville was exciting to say the least. But Zane Smith very, very fast as we go back up and take a look at that 15 car, who continues to pick off positions now in front of Austin Theriault with the 52 car. So Christian Eckes making those tires pay as he heads to the front. Here's a look at your top 5. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to Salem. A good look there at the Salem Speedway sign. We are here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. It is round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge here at Salem. Round 1 was Nashville. 2 very historic tracks here on the tour for the ARCA Racing Series. Christian Eckes now in 2nd place, had to go to the back of the pack after he got into the side of Gus Dean. They came in, took all 4 tires, and boy, as he shot to the front since then. Let's show you how he did it.
You can see him a little bit higher than the 77 of Dalton Sargent, able to turn underneath him and race down the back straightaway, get in front of him, just enough room to get right back up to the top to the outside the 48 lap car of Brad Smith. But Christian Eckes on a mission at this point, because he knows these guys are going to get 4 tires at some point during this race as well.
Here you can see him behind Zane Smith and Austin Theriault. Zane Smith in the 55 car took a look down to the bottom, but it would be Christian Eckes who managed to get around both of those guys. Very, very fast cars right there that he's dealing with now, but was able to put that thing down to the bottom with just a little more grip and then get a good drive off of turn number 4 and then set sail for Austin Theriault.
Yeah, he gets around Weatherman, followed by the 55 of Smith, and then sets his sights on the Daytona winner, Austin Theriault, right to the inside. And these guys know when that 15 shows up right now, they know he has newer tires. They've been told. So if he puts a move on them, they're not going to race him too hard.
Mike Basham down there in the 34 car. Looks like he's being lapped here, driving for his father, Darrell Basham, who made his series debut in 1972. Over 300 ARCA starts here for Darrell Basham, and expecting to get back in the car before the end of the year. Pretty cool story there for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're from Indiana. Henryville, Indiana is where Mike Basham lives. He ran both the Salem events 1 year ago. So great to see him back behind the wheel this weekend. Travis Miller, though, out front, making it look simple. You can see on the ticker on top, just over 1 second on Christian Eckes, who will be reeling him in here shortly with those 4 fresh General tires. But you can see those guys right up against the outside part of the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. And when they get down to 1 and 2, running around the middle part of the racetrack.
Again, keeping our eyes on Miller here, who just turned 29 years old a couple of weeks ago. Started off in Legends cars and won a couple of championships in the Arena Racing USA Series owned by Joe Gibbs. Raced and beat some of the best in the business, including Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, J.J. Yaley.
Battle for 3rd, 3-car battle. Shane Lee, Austin Theriault, Kyle Weatherman taking a peek to the inside of Theriault as they exit turn number 2. Just not enough to get underneath him to make a move down in turn 3.
When Weatherman, as you talked about before, Rob, had such an incredibly good car at Nashville, nobody had anything for him. I mean, even if he got back a couple of spots, courtesy of a pit stop, he would pick his way back up to the front as he takes a look at the inside of Theriault. But Chad Finley just had that tire thing on his side, took tires so late in the race, nobody could stop him, but Kyle Weatherman had an incredibly good car there.
Yeah, and we're going to see that here today, especially if we end up with green flag pit stops. If you come in during a green flag run, you're going to lose at least 2 laps, if not 3 laps here at Salem. That's really going to shuffle this leaderboard around. Who takes 2, who takes 4, how many laps they lose in the pits, and if they can get them back.
That is a great battle for 4th and 5th. Theriault holding down 4th right now. Here comes Christian Eckes. He is looking at the leader on the back bumper right now. Travis Miller. Are we going to have a lead change here for the first time in this race? That is A.J. Fike just in front of those guys. He might factor into this as well.
Christian Eckes taking a look to the outside in turns 1 and 2, trying to diamond the corner, turn off underneath Miller. Looks like he's going to make it stick off turn 2. New leader here at Salem.
Boy, what a big difference. The tires are about 20 laps newer, not a huge number, but boy, you can see how it really pays off here. Just that small amount of laps. Just a little bit fresher tires, and you drive underneath everybody. Let's go back and watch his pass one more time.
Again, you can see him. He drove it in hard to turn 1, slid up a little bit, diamond the corner, turned underneath him, coming off turn 2. That's certainly how you get it done here at Salem. Just a great move by that youngster in that Venturini number 15.
So nice and smooth, and Travis Miller fills back in on the back bumper there, and we go up and watch it one more time. Wherever he went, Christian said, I'm going to go the other direction. Started high, showed him high, and then went down underneath him and made the pass stick nice and clean. Great driving job for Christian Eckes to come up through this field.
Just his 6th career ARCA Racing Series start. First time here at Salem Speedway, 16 years old, out of Middletown, New York. Finds himself out in front leading here at Salem.
Attending George Washington University, does all of his schoolwork online.
4-car battle for 5th here. Shane Lee in the 22, Smith in the 55. See Brett Holmes back there in that blue and yellow 23.
And Shane Lee struggling with that car, and boy, he's loose right there. Started
Still
off on the outside pole, and he is going backwards quickly now, of course, getting that far sideways, but we talked about that before. He was pushing very hard at the beginning of this race, right on the back bumper of Travis Miller, and you couldn't help but wonder, do you just need to ride there for a little bit, especially with this track being green from all the rain, and now it looks like he's paying the cost. So again, in the 55 car, that is Zane Smith driving for Venturini. Venturini team looking for their 3rd consecutive here if they can pull off this win. And right behind him is a Cunningham entry of Dalton Sargent. Let's get over to Bob Dillner for our Scott Rookie Spotlight.
It's been a tough day so far for Gus Dean in the 32. He's currently running just outside the top 10. The first car a lap down. He lost that lap when he had to pit after that lap 19 caution. So right now it's been a little bit of a tough go of it for Gus Dean and that Kevin Sawinski team. But last year's Talladega winner has a very good race car, and if he can get back on the lead lap, he might be a big threat here today.
Of course, he was involved with that incident with Christian Eckes, who is currently leading the race. As you take a look at that 15 car, and Christian able to come in, put on 4 tires, and get right back out and pick his way up through the field. Gus Dean not that fortunate, but Gus Dean making hay as well as he drives underneath Zane Smith and now Dalton Sargent.
Yeah, and those guys are battling for 5th on the racetrack. Dean's just trying to race his way back up and get his lap back. They go on board with the South Carolina driver.
The Big Time sponsored machine there right in front of him. Trying to hold on to that spot. There's a look at your top 5. We'll be right back to Salem Speedway in just a moment. You're watching round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. We're at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana. Been an exciting race here so far, but we've only had 1 caution so far. So the cars are stretching it out here for sure. And Christian Eckes, who was involved in that caution, has now run all the way through the pack and back up to the front of the field.
Yeah, if you go back to the spring of 2016, we had 4 cautions for 35 laps, 9 lead changes, 5 race leaders. So far today, just that 1 caution, and these guys getting around here in a hurry. Just over 17, call it 18-second laps, and Christian Eckes doing a great job with those 4 fresh General tires after that incident, as you mentioned, with Gus Dean, and Dean just trying to fight his way back to the lead lap.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, both races where we were at here last year in April and September had 4 cautions, 1 for 35 laps, 1 for 24 laps. So I'm sure the guys are anticipating a couple of more cautions, and for the guys that are struggling towards the back, they're praying for a caution to try and close that gap back up. You take a look at Gus Dean. Gus Dean now behind Austin Terrio, still picking his way up towards the front to try and get that lap back.
Yeah, those 2 cars battling for the 4th position as he's right now to the inside of Terrio.
Yeah, and Austin Terrio getting up into the wall in practice. We touched on that early on, but his first time here, you said it before, Rob, making his debut here, and in practice, he did get one of those stripes, courtesy of Salem Speedway, but has done a great job since then.
So Gus Dean, the first car one lap down, as you heard Bob Dillner mention, is trying to maybe catch a yellow here and get that free pass that will put him right back on the lead lap. Obviously, he probably can't run down Christian Eckes, but he's getting by these guys in a hurry. Right now runs 12th.
Yeah, and again, you know, those newer tires are playing a big factor here as we've completed 80 laps now of this 200-lap event. But nobody else has pitted as of yet. So we still have all of our leaders are going to come in, and then, of course, as Bob Dillner mentioned before, have to make that choice of taking 2 or taking 4. When it comes to fuel, these cars can go a long way. This Elmore 396 is a very solid power plant. The composite cars weighing in at 3,300 pounds, making 700 horsepower, but a very efficient power plant that will last them all year long. And then, of course, the game comes back, or the strategy, if you will, to, like Bob Dillner said, 2 tires or 4 tires when you come in.
On board with Christian Eckes to the inside of the 55 to put him a lap down, and he is just flat out flying here at Salem. And you're right, that ARCA Elmore 396, it's an injected engine, but these guys can get a lot of laps out of it, a lot of miles out of it. And when we say miles, it could be half-mile racetrack. They can take this to a road course, go run the dirt with it. That's what's so neat about that engine. They've really worked with Elmore and done a great job to put a nice engine package together to give these teams something they can just plug into the race car and go.
Christian Eckes, crew chief Jeff McClure, experienced in NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, worked with Todd Bodine, Camping World Trucks. He's worked with Hermie Sadler, K&N Pro, ARCA, has been with a number of drivers, so Jeff McClure is a great talent up on that box to work with this young man. Of course, Billy Venturini, also a great resource as well, driving for the Venturini team. Bill Venturini, that is Billy's father, the 1983 ARCA Rookie of the Year, 87 and 91 ARCA champ, and still holds the fastest qualifying run at 205.432 miles an hour. So to think that he is with this team is a great wealth of knowledge as they are looking for their 3rd consecutive win here. Christopher Bell winning with him last year, both attempts here at Salem. Let's get it down to Bob Dillner.
Travis Miller has faded just a little bit, but that team not worried at all. They told me the car is really balanced. He's just biding his time right now. And honestly, it may be a little bit of a shocker for some, including the driver himself, because Travis told me today, as long as I don't mess up, I think I can be there at the end, and so far, so good.
Yeah, this one's going to change up a little bit. I'm really curious to see how this is going to sort itself out as we get up around lap 175. We'll see if Christian plays this tire game right and if the car can still hang with these leaders, as the leaders will get new rubber underneath them and things no doubt will sort out. AJ Fike still out there digging hard. Unfortunately, just has not had the speed to keep up with the guys so far here today.
And you can see Gus Dean getting inside of him there, exiting turn number 4. Yeah, Christian Eckes and Gus Dean really just on different strategies at this point. Any plan that they had prior to that race, it all went away when they got together and that caution came out. So they got the fresher tires right now. Like you said, they need to try and get out there, run away and hide, try and put as much distance as they can. But those other teams that are running up front, that Eckes is probably going to lap here shortly if he hasn't already, are going to get an opportunity to put 4 fresh on.
The setup here for the cars a little bit different than Nashville, even though both of them are short tracks, considered short tracks there. The setup a little bit different here, banking just a little bit higher. The turns are a little bit tighter than they saw at Nashville. You might change the rear end housing, add a little camber to the back of these things to help them turn, but not a whole lot of changes to these cars coming out of Nashville. Of course, when they go to Talladega next week, it will be drastically different as they get back on that super speedway. You saw Kyle Weatherman there, and we go back up to our leader.
And it looks like Rafael Lessard now making a green flag pit stop in the Musselman's Big Cup Applesauce Toyota for Venturini Motorsports. Crew going to work on the right side tires. So we'll see if he decides to take 2 or 4 here early, and it looks like they are going to go with 4.
Yeah, and the rules here for the pit crews, 6 guys are allowed over the wall, 1 jack. and 3 air guns is the most they can use. A bit of a moment right there. Nearly collected the ARCA official. Tough choice right there, but the quick reflexes of that young man saved that official.
And it looked like they were going to go with 4. The left front tire changer looked like he was ready to rock. They started to jack it up, set it back down. So maybe a last-minute decision to stick with 2.
And that might have been what the ARCA official was thinking as well. They're taking 4. I've got enough time here, but
that
they decided to go. It changed pretty quickly, didn't it?
Great shot down the front straightaway. Looking back at turn number 4. Travis Miller there in the 28, who started from the pole. Tough to tell from this angle just how bumpy turns 1 and 2 are here at Salem, but we've been here in the midget. We've watched the sprint cars run here, and those open wheel cars just bounce around down in 1 and 2, and I got to imagine they're bouncing pretty good here in these ARCA stock cars.
Yeah, and all part of that setup as well, right, to make sure you can carry some speed through those things, and those cars can drive through those bumps. Just some of the characteristics of the historic tracks the ARCA Racing Series heads to during the 2017 season. There's a look at your top 5. We'll be right back. And we welcome you back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and we are reaching the halfway point. So let's take a look at our Protect Plus mid-race recap. We've had 2 leaders here so far today. Travis Miller got them all started here at the start of this 200-lap main event.
Qualifying got rained out, so Miller, the fastest in practice, would lead him to the stripe here for today's 111-mile race, 200 laps here at Salem.
Shane Lee in the number 22 car for Cunningham was on the back bumper and keeping the pressure on for a long time at the start of this race, but eventually Christian Eckes and Gus Dean got together. That would bring the caution out and both cars down to pit road.
Yeah, Christian Eckes and that Venturini Motorsports team would take 4 tires during that caution flag period. Gus Dean actually lost the lap, went a lap down before he made his way back out. Meanwhile, it was Travis Miller back out front, but Christian Eckes with those 4 fresh General tires was on the move to the front.
As you can see there, he passed our leader, Travis Miller, and took over the point. Came from the back to the front, passing some extremely good cars, and then set sail as he put a huge gap between himself and the rest of the field, and currently leads the group here at the halfway mark. So it's been a great run for Christian since he took on those 4 tires, and he was trying to make a pass on Gus Dean when that incident happened between the 2 of them.
Yeah, just 1 caution, and that was it. You can see there Travis Miller did lead the opening 52 laps, so that 28 car was on rails early, but Christian Eckes with 4 fresh General tires making it look simple right now.
So if you just joined us, that'll get you up to speed, and that is our Protect Plus mid-race recap, brought to you by Protect Plus, an official licensee of DuPont water and air filtration products.
And there's a look at Will Kimmel, has the hood up in the Fast Fuel Systems Extreme Trailer Repair Ford. Great to see Kimmel back here at Salem. Unfortunately, not great to see him in the pits with the hood up at this point.
Finished second twice with the ARCA Racing Series, including here in 2011 as Will Kimmel. And finished third here in 2015, the 07 Super Late Model Track champ here at Salem. He's got a ton of time here and a lot of experience and a lot of success, but unfortunately down there on pit road having some issues.
Yeah, back in 2011 when Will ran second, his uncle Frank was in the top 10. His cousin Frankie was in the top 10. Unfortunately now he's down in the pits with Bob Dillner. Bob?
Will Kimmel, we saw some smoke coming out the exhaust. What put you out?
We've been fighting some water pressure deals here. I'm not really sure what happened. It just keeps building water pressure, but it's just a shame, you know. We were pretty good today. It just hurts when you got to start that far back in the field. So there's got to think Extreme Trailer, Fast Fuel Systems, Eddie Gilstrap, MC Concrete, General Tire. They gave us a great tire, come out here and beat on all day, but this wasn't in the cards.
Tough break for one of the hometown favorites.
His father, Bill Kimmel, crew chiefing for him. Of course, Bill with 8 ARCA championships underneath his belt. Crewing for his brother, Frank, who has a total of 10 ARCA championships.
Yeah, 9 wins right here at Salem Speedway as we see the 77 of Dalton Sargent there. The big time Ford for Cunningham Motorsports.
And how about these 2 teams Venturini and Cunningham. Venturini Motorsports, Cunningham Motorsports, always so tough here when they get to Salem with the ARCA Racing Series. Those two teams have combined to win 6 of the past 10 ARCA races here at Salem, both of them with 3 each. And as I mentioned before, Venturini looking for their 3rd consecutive and 7th overall here at Salem. They know what to expect when they come in here.
For Kent, Maine, driver Austin Theriault for Kenny Schrader, white number 52. First time here at Salem, as we mentioned earlier, chasing ARCA points in 2017 for Kenny Schrader Racing. Meanwhile, Christian Eckes gets underneath Brett Holmes, now sets his sights on that number 22 of Shane Lee.
Well, and the rate he's going here, he's going to have the entire field lap. Put a lap down here in a minute.
Yeah, it looks like he's lapped up to about 6th position. As you can see, 112, working lap 112 of 200. That battle for 3rd still heavy between Theriault and Sargent. Zago nose to tail through 1 and 2.
And if you're wondering if that's ever happened here before, the answer would be yes, going back to 92 and in 95. But of course, they have a lot of racing yet to do. We've yet to see everybody come in for pit stops here to take on tires, so things will jostle up before it's all said and done.
And now's when crew chiefs start to wonder if we're going to have to do this under green flag conditions, or if we are in fact going to catch a caution. In a perfect world, they'll catch a caution around lap 80 or 90, come and get 2, catch one around 150, get there 4, and move on. But we all know that doesn't always shake out the way they plan it. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes in here, who decides to say, listen, we got to come in and get tires.
And as you mentioned before, with the lap times being so quick, you don't want to come in under green flag conditions if at all possible. And here comes Dalton Sargent down to the bottom of Theriault. Looks like he's going to use A.J. Fike as a pick.
Yeah, great move by Sargent as he'll take the spot entering turn number 1. Fike moving up out of the way to let these guys by.
A.J. unfortunately just not on race pace with the leaders here today. Talented driver, super guy for sure, so much experience, but just doesn't seem to be able to keep up with the guys in the front here today. The 27 car did move up out of the way. Great racing gesture, of course. And Dalton Sargent now with that spot has put a little bit of gap on Theriault. Go back up to the front, the 55 car. That is Zane Smith, who has come into the pits, has gone a couple of laps down, and you can see he's using those fresh General tires now to take advantage of the slower cars to try and get some of those laps back.
Yeah, this is when it's going to, as we talked about, this is going to start shaking out to where guys are going to have to just make a decision if they want to come in now or keep racing on the racetrack to try and catch another caution. You certainly don't want to get caught during a caution in the pits here, but everybody now scratching their head. If your car's handling pretty good, you'll probably just stay out there as long as you can, hoping for that caution. If you got a car that's just not handling well on worn tires, the sooner you can come in and get fresh ones, the better.
And by the way, Austin Theriault there in the 52 car is currently in 4th place. And yes, Christian Eckes just put him a lap down. So he has passed everybody except for 2nd and 3rd place to this point. Nearly has the entire field a lap down.
Yeah, and Eckes, as we mentioned, a 3rd at Nashville, winning the Scott Rookie of the Race. Just a tremendous drive for that young driver in the Venturini Motorsports number 15. And right now, again, making it look simple, driving like a veteran out there. We'll have to wait and see when these guys get fresh tires or if we catch any more cautions. I mean, this thing could very well go green to the end.
Eckes, and everybody loves him at the team, does all of his schoolwork in the morning, then heads over to the race shop, spends as much time as possible over there.
And you can see him right there up on the fence. The way to get around 3 and 4. And from all the different races I've seen here at Salem, whether it's an open wheel car or a stock car or a super late model, the line is the line. It is up on the fence at 3 and 4.
It's also a good place to take care of those tires as well. Run a little wider arc if you can, instead of forcing that car a little bit lower.
And I think it was the great Jack Hewitt that said, the closer you run to the wall, the less it hurts if you hit it.
You hit it, yeah, that's exactly right. You can't get a big run at it if you're up there beside it. So Christian Eckes doing a good job as he continues to make up ground on the rest of the field. Here's a look at your top 5. Weatherman and Sargent, the only two not to be lapped as of yet by Christian Eckes. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Television broadcast is brought to you by Hers, Forever Good. Protect Plus, official license of DuPont Air and Water Filtration. And by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
You're watching the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and once again we welcome you back to Salem Speedway here in Salem, Indiana for round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. And one of those Toyotas is dominating right now. And of course, there's always a manufacturer's battle going on here as well when it comes to that. And currently, coming into this event in the manufacturer's battle, Chevrolet was leading with 18 points over Toyota, who has 12, but I'll tell you what, Christian Eckes is doing his best to change that.
And he has lapped all the way up to 4th. As you mentioned, as we are going to break, working lap 130.
Yeah, it's going to be all the way up to 3rd here in just a moment. He drives down underneath Dalton Sargent, and Dalton Sargent currently in 3rd place and now about to go a lap down.
His next victim could be the 78 of Kyle Weatherman. That Turn 1 Condo Chevy for Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Mason Mitchell, of course, the owner of that team, also the 2014 ARCA Racing Series champion.
Dalton Sargent trying to hang on the back bumper there of Eckes. We're starting to get some action down on pit road. Travis Miller for MDM has come in and put on some tires, and also looks like Kyle Weatherman, speaking of Mason Mitchell, is going to come down in there and take some tires as well. Bob Dillner is all over it as we watch Weatherman come in.
Kyle Weatherman brings his number 78 down to the attention of his crew. At least 2 tires on this one because we're still under green flag conditions. They're going to go for a 4-tire stop here. Kyle says his car's just a little bit loose. No, now they're saying 2 tires. Kevin Reed, the crew chief, says, no, we're going back to a 2-tire stop. So they got to put the lug nuts back on that machine because the caution is out. They're trying to get him back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a curveball that they were thrown. We're not anticipating that. They had to get back out on the track as quickly as possible. Brett Holmes obviously involved there with a blue and yellow number 23. Came into this event 5th in the points. I'm not sure what caused it. So caution flag does come out. Pace truck out onto the track, and once again we'll get it back down to Bob Dillner.
This is the lucky break that Christian Eckes and his team were hoping for. They didn't plan, if we went green the rest of the way, they didn't plan to stop based on the fact that they took 4 tires earlier. Well, they're taking 2 new tires and putting on 2 older scuffs that they ran earlier in the race. So right now, Christian Eckes in pretty good shape.
Yeah, depending on how old those scuffs are, he's in great shape. And again, that's being with the experience of a Venturini team. If they did, in fact, save a couple of tires as scuffs there that didn't have a ton of laps on them from practice. Dalton Sargent currently in 2nd place there, still out onto the track, the Big Time sponsored machine, and of course Big Time here in Indiana as well. They have a great relationship with him and the 22 car of Shane Lee. Great to see Big Time still so involved as they make feed for cattle.
Yeah, and here comes Sargent to the pits. Tony Murakovich right behind him in that number 10 car as pits are open. And that could have gone from bad to absolutely horrible for the 78 of Kyle Weatherman as he was able to get back out on the racetrack. But you could see a lot of cars are making their way into the pit area, all looking for fresh rubber. Let's get it back down to Bob Dillner.
Dalton Sargent finished 3rd in this race 1 year ago here at Salem, and right now, by virtue of the lucky dog, he's going to be back on the lead lap. So Dalton Sargent, some major chassis changes to that car, and most importantly, 4 new skins to give him some grip around this very slippery Salem racetrack.
Rafael Lassard also coming down there. Looks like he will take on 4 tires, and you can see the fueling guy By the way, those cans full of fuel probably weighing the better part of 100 pounds, but moved out of the way for the left rear tire changer to have access. Is fuel not quite as critical? Of course it's critical, but they don't need to get as much in. Probably don't need a full load of fuel here with only 62 laps to go.
Jeff McClure, crew chief for Christian Eckes. Unfortunate circumstance early in the race, but it sort of paid dividends for you. Are you good to go from now on out?
Yeah, we got a real good car, and Christian's doing an excellent job for us so far, yeah. That deal at the beginning of the race sort of did play in our favor, but it's us in the 77 right now. We just got to maintain our distance on him.
Only 2 cars on the lead lap for the 16-year-old Christian Eckes.
Yeah, and for Jeff McClure, since joining Venturini Motorsports in 2013, he's gone to victory lane 3 times. Of course, we mentioned Christopher Bell winning both of them last year here at Salem. Todd Gilliland also visiting victory lane back in 2015.
Well, that bird was making hay. He was leading everybody. He's passing everybody up there in the camera shot. And just to help explain a little bit why there's 2 cars on the lead lap, but one of those is not Kyle Weatherman. Kyle Weatherman got caught in the pits during that caution flag, so he ended up a lap down. Of course, Christian Eckes is on the lead lap. He was our leader. And Dalton Sargent was the first car 1 lap down. He gets the free pass and is able to get back on the lead lap. Could be a little bit confusing there, but basically Kyle Weatherman could not have pitted at a worse time. He was in second place, pulled down onto the pits. The caution flag came out. That allowed, that put him a lap down, and that allowed Dalton Sargent to basically pass him while he was on pit road. Dalton Sargent, being the first car a lap down, who was straight up passed by Christian Eckes, was able to get that free pass and back onto the lead lap, so he can take the fight now to Christian Eckes.
Yeah, and he certainly will with 4 fresh General tires. Eckes with new right side tires, as we saw, put 4 tires on, but the left sides were scuffed earlier in the day. So we're going to see how this shakes out, but more than likely, with 4 fresh tires, Dalton Sargent's just going to drive right on by.
And how about the 2 guys that were in the incident there? That is Christian Eckes and Gus Dean, right on the back bumper of him now for this restart. Should be exciting to say the least here, as we are down to the final 60 laps here at Salem. Stay with us. We'll be right back in just a moment and watch these guys battle it out for the final 60 laps. Salem Speedway is where it's all going down. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards has been racing here for more than 60 years. And this is race 101 with the ARCA Racing Series here at Salem Speedway. One of those historic tracks you want to say you've won at, and well, those aren't cracks, man. Those are character lines that are out here. That's what they say about us as we get a little bit older. And just one of those tracks where you want to say you've won once.
Yeah, a lot of history here, and it's just what makes this track unique. I mean, these guys slipping and sliding over here in turns 1 and 2. That's why the stands are packed.
So let's talk about this lineup. We told you it's only 2 cars on the lead lap. Christian Eckes and the number 15 car and the 77 car of Dalton Sargent. Dalton Sargent was the free pass car. The free pass car has to start behind all the cars that have pitted that are 1 lap down. That's why you still see another 4 cars in front of him along with Christian Eckes. Effectively, Dalton Sargent starting off in the 6th position. By the way, Christian choosing that outside line as he's about to get the group restarted here.
How about Gus Dean? Involved in that early incident with Christian Eckes. 1 lap down in the 32 will start to the inside of road number 1 on this restart.
And he will be the next car eligible for the free pass if, in fact, another caution comes out.
And he gets a horrible restart as Eckes pulls away. Weatherman drives by. Dalton Sargent now right behind Kyle Weatherman as we go on board with 4th place.
Now here is the story. Kyle Weatherman is a lap down right behind him on 4 fresh General tires. Well, you can already see Christian Eckes moving around a little bit. Then it's going to be Dalton Sargent, the 77, who's on the lead lap. He also has 4 brand new General tires. However, Christian Eckes only has 2 brand new ones as he took 4 early on in this race after that spin. He has 2 left side scuffs on, and the 2 on the right side are brand new. Weatherman's going to pass him, get back on the lead lap here, and then the race for the lead is on as we speak. And here comes Dalton Sargent to take it away.
Yeah, and we knew it was going to happen quick. Sargent right to the inside takes the lead from Christian Eckes. Gus Dean trying to get back on the lead lap as well, race for position. So Dalton Sargent in that number 77, big time Ford for Cunningham Motorsports, takes the lead from Christian Eckes.
So just 1 car away from being back on the lead lap is Gus Dean in that 32 Grease-sponsored machine. And Gus Dean also taking on 2 tires as he was involved in that incident with Christian early on. Of course, the air conditioning company jumped on board with Kevin Sawinski's team, and they have a great relationship, really like Gus Dean, who picked up that win at Talladega a year ago, looking for a strong finish here, and he can still get one.
Yeah, that car was pretty loose once they put the 4 fresh General tires on. It's kind of been getting looser and looser, so they went 2 rounds down on the track bar, as well as those 2 new right side tires on that last caution, filled it up with fuel, and Gus Dean could be a player here in the late stages of this race.
Yeah, even though he's a lap down, keep in mind everybody was a lap down to Christian Eckes when that caution flag came out.
So here's another look at the pass for the lead. That's Kyle Weatherman in 4th position, getting to the inside of Christian Eckes. Weatherman with 4 fresh General tires, as well as Dalton Sargent, as Sargent gets to the inside coming off turn 2. Nice move to take the lead.
Then the 2 cars that took on 2 tires, Christian Eckes in the 15 car up on the top, and then the Kevin Sawinski car, the Wintron car down there on the bottom of Gus Dean. Gus Dean looked like he had him cleared right there, but Christian pulls right back up as they go side by side once again. Gus with a nice little run, though, able to get a little gap. Still not getting his lead lap back, as Dalton Sargent is our current leader. Through all of that, it can be a little confusing for sure, but Dalton Sargent, the 77 car, driving for Cunningham here, trying to win this one here, is on the lead lap and is our leader.
Christian Eckes running in that 2nd position, leading 91 laps before losing the lead to Dalton Sargent. Austin Terrio right behind him there in that 52 car. On board with Eckes.
Needs to stay out of trouble here. He's still going to have a solid finish. Number of laps yet to go, though. We are under 50 to go. You got to keep that thing off of the wall as, well, just like that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It just doesn't take much of a slip. Austin Terrio getting in front of him, but Austin Terrio still a lap down as well. And Christian Eckes back in the battle. Let's get it back over to Bob Dillner.
This is what 130 laps of grueling, treacherous racing looks like on tires here at Salem Speedway. This came off of Dalton Sargent's number 77 machine. Well, right here in the pit area, we still have another 2 tires. So Dalton Sargent setting himself up for a possible run for the money here and a big win in Salem today.
Well, it's certainly nice to have those 2 tires sitting there if in fact you need them, but if this one goes green to the end, they're not coming back in to take those 2 new tires. So we'll find out how things shake down here, but based on what we've seen so far, this track is doing exactly what Dan Glauts thought it would do, which is go green for a long time.
There's Tony Marakovich there, moving into 9th place, getting inside of Christian Eckes, who continues to run in 2nd. Marakovich said, they told me that if you can run Salem, you can run anywhere. And the they in that statement is Ken Schrader and Frank Kimball. They each took the young driver around this racetrack separate times before the test. He said it was pretty awesome to get some words of encouragement from those 2 veteran drivers.
Yeah, Marakovich tested for MBM Motorsports at Daytona. Sponsors wanted to join up with Schrader's organization and joined up with Andy Hillenberg as well to run a couple of races, including Nashville and here at Salem. Take a look there at the 55 car. That is Zane Smith behind Christian Eckes.
We haven't said much about Mason Mingus there in that number 33 car for Wintron Racing. Toyota ran 5th at Nashville. Same car that he ran at Nashville, they brought here to Salem.
Yeah, and of course Kevin Sawinski, the the principal behind Wintron, a former ASA champ from back in 2004, a lot of short track experience himself. Really brings a lot of knowledge and a really good team. They worked with a number of young, talented drivers over the years. A great team to be associated with.
Yeah, and for Mason Mingus, this racetrack, one of his best short tracks statistically. 5 straight top 10s in 6 races, with 6 back in 2012, his best. He actually won a late model race here back in 2010. You can see him still trying to work on that 55 down in turn 1.
And of course, he's filling in for Justin Fontaine, who's had that nasty wreck at Daytona and is doing good in his recovery. They expect him back in June. So we are thinking about you, Justin Fontaine. Keep digging, brother. We want to see you back out here in a race car. There's a look at the top 5. We'll be right back. And once again, we welcome you back here to round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. We're at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana, with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Getting down close to the end of this one. 200 laps in distance, 111 miles. Christian Eckes, a former leader here, led for 91 laps, but unfortunately lost that lead on the restart when Dalton Sargent, who had taken on 4 tires, was able to get underneath him. Christian, who had only taken on 2.
Yeah, and he's falling back here. It seemed like every lap someone is getting by him, though he still remains second on the racetrack. These guys are setting a pretty good pace here with 4 fresh tires. With Dalton Sargent right now getting it done. There is that number 22, Shane Lee, out of North Carolina. There's his teammate, the 77, out front.
And of course, Christian can give up some of those spots. It looks like he's getting past, but keep in mind he had an entire lap on the entire field. Get it down to Bob.
Crew Chief Chad Bryant told me he desperately wants to win again here at Salem. And the interesting thing for Dalton Sargent is he had a conversation with the 10-time ARCA Racing Series champion Frank Kimmel this weekend. And Frank told him, you know what, Dalton, you're always consistent, but consistent won't get you to NASCAR. You need to win more. So that is on the back of Dalton Sargent's mind here at Salem today.
Yeah, man, I mean, when you get inside of the championship winning car, the pressure is on, and so it goes. And of course, that team, so solid. We could talk about them forever, but that Cunningham team is as good as they come. And Chase Briscoe certainly proved that a year ago. Dalton Sargent himself, so talented as well. The former Rookie of the Year here from 2016. General Tire Super Speedway Challenge champ as well last year.
Yeah, and that was just on a partial schedule for Billy Venturini. So this year chasing the points, as you mentioned, for the championship team and the championship car with the championship number. And he's getting it done here at Salem.
And that was a big change, right? I mean, to make that decision to leave Venturini to come over to Cunningham and chase that championship and get inside of that car. You know, to make a decision like that, you want to yield some results. Looks like he's going to chase a win down here today. Keep in mind, this will be a first-time winner here at Salem with the ARCA Series, as this marks the first time in over 41 ARCA races at Salem, some 20-plus years, that no former winners are in the field.
And Christian Eckes getting swallowed up by Kyle Weatherman in this 78, and that number 25 car of Rafael Lassard, as Eckes continues to fall back. 25 laps to go.
Well, we are seeing the same efforts out of him that we saw out of Christian Eckes early on, taking on those 4 General Tires, and he is putting some laps in for sure, as we are now down under 25 to go.
Yeah, Dalton Sargent certainly doing a great job. Picked up his only ARCA Racing Series win last year at Berlin. As you saw, Riley Herbst there for Joe Gibbs Racing. As we go on board with Kyle Weatherman.
Well, and going back, talking about Kyle Weatherman, just had such a great race car at Nashville. Ends up in second because of late tires that were added on to Chad Finley's car. Was able to drive up through the pack, and he was currently in second place when he pitted here. Caution flag comes out, ends up a lap down, and now scrapping, but again, still inside of the top 5, so a good run for Weatherman.
Another driver who made his ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards debut here at Salem. He did it back in 2013 at 15 years old. Finished 4th. You see him racing underneath. Brett Holmes getting a little loose there off turn number 4.
And the back of Brett Holmes' car looked like it was beat up a little bit. He did spin out, brought out that second caution, entered this event 5th in the points, so he's trying to hang on there. Christian falling back to 3rd.
Car looking a little loose there coming off the corner. That rear end wanting to jump out on him. He's just trying to hold on at this point. Under 20 laps to go and trying to keep it as straight as he can.
Christian Eckes in 3rd place has been passed by Gus Dean. Gus went all the way back around after that restart and able to drive back by Christian. So a great effort for Gus Dean, and that's exactly what he needed after a slow start there. Just 2 tough instances where he was in a wreck at Daytona and the track bar instance at Nashville. So congrats to Gus Dean. See, hopefully he can hang on here for the last 18 laps and put that one up on the podium.
Yeah, and that's what Eckes is trying to do as Mason Mingus drives around the outside of him. Brad Smith in the 48 also going to go to the outside. Brad Smith, that team brought a new race car to Nashville. Said after the race, we just kind of had the new car blues. Of course, driving for James Hilton. One of the longtime veterans approaching 300 career ARCA starts. And again, there is Eckes now slowing, it looks like, on the racetrack.
Yeah, he is way, way off the pace now as Weatherman also gets up and back around him. So, yeah, Christian just trying to keep that one off the wall. Kyle Weatherman takes over 3rd place there as he sailed around the outside of Eckes.
So now the battle will be, can Kyle Weatherman reel in Gus Dean? Only 2 cars, 1 lap down. You see Shane Lee on the ticker there, the first car 2 laps down, running in the 4th position.
Just 2 caution flags so far inside of this one. Tires playing a huge role, as they always do out here with the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards. There's a look at your leader. 77 car out here making it happen. By the way, Dalton Sargent, the only one on the lead lap right now.
Just turned 19 years old on March 28th. Made his debut right here at Salem 1 year ago with the ARCA Racing Series and trying to pick up his 2nd career win. Be pretty special to get it done right here at the High Banks.
Grabbed his first career win with the ARCA Racing Series at Berlin last year. And looks like Christian Eckes is headed down towards the pit. Has to be on the radio saying, man, this thing is just undrivable. I'm going to put it in the wall if I stay out here. So they decide to bring him in. They'll have to put on 2 more scuffs and get him back out there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, certainly a tough break for Christian Eckes, a very fast race car. His strategy really didn't pay off as he got in that early accident with Gus Dean, but they're going to do the best they can to try and get a good finish here at Salem.
Funny how it goes. He took the lead and got a lot of airtime, but now it's Gus Dean who was part of that incident, who is currently in 2nd place, and no doubt will get the better finish here if it stays the way it is. There's a look at your top 5. Just a handful of laps to go here. We're at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. And right now, Dalton Sargent is the only person on the lead lap. The last time we had somebody put the entire field down, a lap down, was 2006 at Michigan International Speedway when David Strimmy was able to pass everybody, put the entire field a lap down, and went on to win.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often. You mentioned earlier in the race, back in 92 and 95, it happened here at Salem. But Dalton Sargent, just a very fast race car. Got out front, got by Eckes, 4 fresh General tires, and has checked out under 10 to go.
Car looks great, but he's still got to get it there, no doubt, as you mentioned before, running right up here by the fence, by the wall, whatever you'd like to call it. Either way, it'll end your day with just the smallest of mistakes. But the car looked good right there, man. Pulls it right down. Still looks like he has plenty of grip, certainly no pressure on the back bumper.
Yeah, and at this point, he's not driving it as hard as he may have earlier in the race. I mean, he knows he's got a lap on the field. There you see Christian Eckes, who has fallen back to the 8th position after taking that late race pit stop for 2 right side tires. But for Dalton Sargent, they're telling him, man, just make good laps, stay smooth, hit your marks, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Dalton Sargent with 15 starts a year ago, finished 8th in the points. You had that win that you talked about there at Berlin, but of those 15 starts, finished in the top 5 10 times, and in the top 10 12 times. So an extremely talented, very solid driver, to say the least. And out here trying to put this one away.
Yeah, comes into this race 3rd in the points after a 4th at Daytona, ran 9th at Nashville.
As we talked about, I mean, he's extremely talented, not only on the ovals as well. Has been in prototype lights cars, finished 3rd at Sebring, started his career off in go-karts, went to Europe, and did some racing there as well. So we expect to see plenty of Dalton Sargent before this season's over with.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier he won the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge with the ARCA Racing Series last year. He's going to move up in the points big time in the Sioux Chiefs Short Track Challenge after that 9th place run at Nashville. If he can hold on and get the win here.
Yeah, and how about Gus Dean? As you take a look at that Gree car, the number 32 car, he came in here 2nd in Scott Rookie Challenge points, just behind Brett Holmes, who he's in front of now. So he'll have a good run there, and smoke out of the back of one of the cars there. Looks like the 10 of Tony Marakovich. Dalton Sargent trying to stay out of the trouble on the final lap, looking to pick up his 2nd career ARCA Racing Series win. Just keep it clean through 3 and 4, which are a good bit different than turns 1 and 2. And he picks up the checkered flag. Congratulations to Dalton Sargent, the 77 Cunningham Motorsports entry. Followed by Gus Dean, and Gus Dean with a great comeback after that spin very early on in this race.
Well, we thought it might happen once Sargent got out front, but he did lap the entire field. So pretty impressive run by that young driver, as you mentioned last time in ARCA back in 2006. So a new stat displayed here at Salem Speedway for that young driver doing some donuts here on the front straightaway.
Yeah, and you said it before, by the way, it was Tim Steele who did it in 95 here at Salem. It was Bob Strait who did it in 92 here at Salem. Doesn't happen very often, but with only 2 caution flag laps, it allowed these guys to stretch it out if they had a really good car. And boy, Dalton Sargent had a good one here today.
So he'll stop in victory lane there on the front straightaway, as well as the 32 of Gus Dean. A great 2nd place finish, a career best short track finish for that South Carolina driver. Kyle Weatherman will come home 3rd, only 2 cars, 1 lap down. Then 4th place Shane Lee, Austin Terrio 2 laps down. Zane Smith, Brett Holmes, Eckes ended up in 8th. Marakovich, a nice top 10, and Travis Miller, who started from the pole, ends up 5 laps down in 10th place.
Yeah, Travis Miller with a great start to this race, leading the first 52 laps. Let's take a look at the rest of the field down through there. Salem Speedway, the high banks here, and round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge.
Salem Speedway certainly never disappoints. Some great racing from the front to the back. Green flag pit stops, strategy. It was an awesome day here for that man, Dalton Sargent. He is down in victory lane with Bob Dillner.
Dalton Sargent climbs out of the car victorious today at Salem. The crew douses him with water and Gatorade, hugs all around. For Dalton Sargent, now a 2-time winner here in the ARCA Racing Series. Number 1, how did you keep your patience and the tire management to get to victory lane here today?
Definitely a really difficult race at the start of it. Super long run. Had an absolutely amazing 77 big-time Cunningham Ford. You know, just all these guys that have been working back at the shop, they just built such a fast race car. You know, we didn't start where we wanted to. We started a little bit further back in the field. But one of the big things was that in practice, we just really worked on long run speed, making sure that the car wouldn't fall off as hard as what it did when we came here and tested. And, you know, the guys just did an awesome job at getting the car to be able to go the long distance, which is ultimately what helped us kind of stay on the lead lap, well, get the lucky dog, and then be able to go out there and get the win.
You're trying to climb the ladder, and I understand 10-time ARCA champion Frank Kimmel told you something recently that kind of set with you.
Yeah, last time I was here, Frank Kimmel actually told me to go out there and win some more races if you want to keep moving up. So here I am at his home track, getting a win. So it's pretty cool, and definitely just looking forward to going to Talladega next weekend.
Dalton Sargent and this team will celebrate here tonight as the winners at Salem.
Now, that is great advice from Kimmel, of course, who's won here 9 times. It looks like he made it pay off. All right, stay with us. We still have plenty to do here at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana. Wrapping things up here at Salem with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Dalton Sargent doing an incredible job here as he puts the entire field 1 lap or more down and cross the stripe. Gus Dean would finish up there in 2nd place. Here's a look at Dalton Sargent, of course. I'll show you a race recap if you've just joined us here, as Dalton Sargent recaps a little bit of his exciting race. This is your DuPont Water and Air Filtration race recap. It was Travis Miller who led him to the stripe early on and would lead the first 52 laps of this race.
Travis Miller, a very fast hot rod early, but it was Christian Eckes involved in an incident with Gus Dean, who went into the pits, got 4 fresh tires, and when he came out, was lightning quick.
Yeah, no doubt. He was in the back of the field, but boy, he just kept picking them off, including some of the best cars out here, until finally he was able to work his way up towards the front. Then, unfortunately, as the tires would go away towards the end of the race, it was Dalton Sargent who had the fresh tires on. He went to the front, put the rest of the field a lap down, and picked up the checkered flag in his 2nd career ARCA Racing Series win. Here's a look at how they finished up with Dalton Sargent on top. Gus Dean, congratulations to him, a career best short track finish there in 2nd place. And boy, what a great comeback after being involved in that incident with Christian Eckes early on.
Yeah, that Wintron Racing number 32 was certainly stout. We didn't see him a lot or talk about him a lot, but he certainly raced his way to the front. You could see the rest of the field here. Will Kimmel, who had issues 99 laps down, ended in the pits there, coming home in 18th spot.
Well, Rob, as we anticipated, tires playing a huge role here. Once again, this track green from all the rain, from all the weather that we had before it started, and no doubt taking rubber on the entire time. All right, let's get it down to the man who just had his best short track finish.
Gus Dean, I think you could say he had an adventurous day. So how the heck did you come home with a 2nd place finish after all you went through?
Well, we, you know, like you said, we had a very struggling morning. We decided not to mock up yesterday in practice, even though we knew we were going to be qualified based on our practice speeds. The car was a little off, so we decided to go ahead and take that time and make sure it was right for the race. But in the start of the race, we're going to start at 13th. I'll take the blame for it. The driver missed the driver's meeting, but they put us on the tail there. And to be honest with you, that really frustrated me. And so we went back out, and the guys at Wintron, the 32 Greek Toyota, they gave me a great car. It was unbelievable at the start of the race. You know, I knew we were going to have a great finish here today. And then we ended up getting into our teammate there, going off into 1. He slowed up a little bit sooner than I thought. Granted, I'll take the blame again. I was hustling a little bit too early in the race, and then the 15 dove underneath of us to take us 3 wide. Ended up not working out for us. So we went a lap down, which increased that anger a little bit more. But they gave me a great car. We came back in, took 4, and we ended up having that really long green flag run, which helped me get that lap back. And to come out, you know, after all those adversities with a 2nd place finish is it's really incredible. These General tires, they wouldn't quit from the start to finish.
A mad driver sometimes is a fast driver, and now he heads to Talladega, where he won last year.
Kevin Sawinski, team principal, standing back there as well. No doubt very happy with that effort, as I'm sure the folks at GRE Cooling Products are as well. Here's a look at the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge points.
Dalton Sargent, the biggest mover after today's win, moves up 7 spots into 2nd as Kyle Weatherman takes over the top spot. Terrio, Eckes, and Mingus rounding out your top 5.
Let's go back down to the podium and talk to the man that finished in 3rd.
Despite a 3rd place run, you can see no smile on Kyle Weatherman's face. He's finished top 5 here before. You had a good car, looked like a contending car. What happened today?
Oh, we had an awesome car, really fast race car. I can't thank everybody at Mason Mitchell Motorsport. You know, they obviously put the heart and soul in this thing, and it outshowed today. So we had a problem on pit road. You know, it was partial my fault, partial the pit crew's fault. But once we get this stuff cleaned up, we're gonna be really good. Unfortunately, I don't have my General Tire hat or my thing on, but you know, I can't thank them guys enough. They, yeah, here, let's get that in here. Let's get that in here. But they obviously put great tires on the road and obviously showed today. We went 100 and something laps green there, and you know, to hold up that long was really impressive. So can't thank them guys enough. But we'll go on to Talladega here and see what we got.
Another top 5 run for Kyle Weatherman here at Salem.
Yeah, those tires actually did a fabulous job. Again, just considering all the conditions out there, General Tires are really, really a great product. And boy, so racy out here. Take a look at the folks down there on the front straightaway enjoying the race end here. We're not done yet. We still have a little more to do. Stay with us at Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana, and we'll be right back with more.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards television broadcast has been brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing. And by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
And once again, we welcome you back here to round 2 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. This is the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. 200 laps completed here at Salem Speedway. All said and done was a 77 car for Cunningham Motorsports and ended up on top of the box.
Yeah, 200 laps completed by just one driver. He was the only one that completed all 200. Everyone else, one lap at least down. And here's a look at the results if you're just joining us. Gus Dean, Kyle Weatherman, each a lap down. Then Shane Lee, Austin Terrio, Zane Smith, Brett Holmes, Christian Eckes, who led laps, Tony Morakovich, and Travis Miller, who led the first 52, rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, he led 52, and then, of course, Christian led the next 91, but the lap that mattered was the last one, and that, of course, was Dalton Sargent as you take a look at the rest of the field there. Looks like everybody enjoying just a quick little bite there towards the end. Sitting out there on the racetrack. A safe race for everybody, and that is important to say the least. Well, another one of those big-time Cunningham cars did a great job here, and Shane Lee finishing the side of the top 5.
Shane Lee survived, and I think that's the word of the day here today. Ran up front early, then what happened?
We just ran the car too hard at the beginning. Didn't ever think we was going to have a green flag run that long, or I didn't think we were. And we ran the leader pretty hard, just trying to get the lead. And the first caution came out, and I already told Paul, my crew chief, that we were way too loose entry. And the farther we went, the tires ended up, we had nothing but cords left on the right rear. But overall, it's a good run for the big-time Cunningham Ford Fusion. And come out of here with the top 5, we're pretty happy. And the last set of General Tires definitely worked better in our favor. We made a couple adjustments, and it was pretty good right there. We just put ourselves in a hole and couldn't get the laps back.
String a couple top 5s together throughout the season, and you'll contend for a championship.
Here's a look at the points as we exit Salem. After 3 events complete, Austin Terrio hangs on to that points lead, but only by 15 now, as Dalton Sargent and Kyle Weatherman are locked up for second.
Shane Lee in 4th, Brett Holmes rounding out your top 5. How about Gus Dean moving up solidly into the top 10, sits 7th, tied with Brad Smith. Let's get it back down to Bob Dillner. He's with Austin Terrio.
Long green flag runs could be treacherous for any team. Certainly it took its toll on the 52 team for Austin Terrio here today. I know you've got to be satisfied with the top 5, but you could have done a lot better, I'm sure.
We could have done better. We had a good car. Congrats to the 77. They really deserved it, and I'm happy for all those guys on the crew. We came in and took tires under the green flag, and the caution ended up coming out. And then we had a left rear issue and went a couple laps down, but the car was just awesome with the new General tires. Really good in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 we were just a little bit off. I think that would have been the difference between us being able to challenge them for the win if we wouldn't have gone a couple laps down. But I'm excited with a top 5 finish. Like I said, we want to be over there, but I think if we keep running like this and keep challenging, and we'll get ourselves a couple more wins before the end of the season.
Austin Terrio, your point leader, heading into Dega. Thank you, buddy. Good seeing you.
And, of course, they won't have much time to prep those cars, and for a number of the teams, they'll bring out that Super Speedway car to run at Talladega. 4th stop on the 20-stop tour.
Hey, make sure you never miss a race. Go to mavtv.com/set-reminder for more information.
The track looks calm now, a little moisture down there at the bottom, but all the racing action was hot, to say the least. And boy, what a great day for the Cunningham team. 2 top 5s, and of course that win. Let's get it back down to Bob.
The high banks of Salem can reach out and bite you in a hurry. We saw some of that today, but we saw a lot of green flag runs. So what was today all about for some of the championship contenders? Guys like Kyle Weatherman, Austin Terrio, and Dalton Sargent. They learned a key thing, and that is attrition and long green flag runs can have a profound impact on your championship picture. So when we come back here and the championship picture is a little bit more in focus, those guys will be prepared for the September race, race number 2 here at Salem on the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
And for all the news notes and results, you can find us online at arcaracing.com. We're all over social media. Make sure you like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
We are up and running for sure. Hope you enjoyed all the great racing action. It's been a pleasure to bring it to you. For Bob Dillner and Rob Klepper, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.